Oh, good afternoon. It's about sunset. You can see it on my face. I wanted to talk a little bit about the larger picture of what's going on because it's far more important than a pandemic, because it involves things that are more permanent, such as state control, meaning you don't have a say anymore in your life. Because what they're actually doing, and this is going to sound crazy, but they're trying to get rid of most of us. They're thinning the herd so they can bring in the New World Order. They're not calling it the New World Order because that got a kind of a funny rap, wasn't well received perhaps. But the idea is that they want to control everything technically, everything monitored, everything measured, and just very much robotic. And they're saying that it's under the guise of, our environment is shot, we've got to do something drastic. And hey, what are the chances we had a pandemic? Let's use it. That's kind of the guise of, we need to do the Great Reset, they call it. It's not just a conspiracy theory anymore. You can go to the World Economic Forum and see that that's what they're doing. And the thing is, all this destruction is being allowed to and being encouraged is our own destruction. It's to break down what our lives are about, what we've built, but it's to break down society, to break it down, the economic system completely, let it collapse, help it collapse, allow food shortages and other things that will weed out a good portion of the population. Because remember, the people involved in this, such as Bill Gates and Fauci, a lot of these guys are eugenicists. Gates wants to lower the population, and he's got a background as being eugenicist. So they prefer to wipe out the poor countries. And in this country, they prefer to wipe out whomever is not doing well financially, perhaps, or is not aware enough to prepare and have the resources to have a preparation for maybe years of food and survival. But even then, if you have the resources and you live in a neighborhood, if you have neighbors at all and you have the resources, things will get ugly enough for them to come for them. So then you got to be armed, right? Not everybody's willing to do that. So are they expecting only the people who are armed to survive? Or are they going to disarm us in addition to everything that's going on by creating some other situation that pushes for gun control once again? Things are getting ugly, people start shooting each other, and they take guns. And then, but people tear each other apart with their bare hands, I don't know how ugly that can get. We haven't ever seen anything like that. Especially Americans. Americans have never gone hungry. I'm not saying every single human. I'm saying that in general, our country has not been starving since 1929. Even then, it's not as bad as it looks like it's going to get this time. Well, people are not prepared for that. In generations, we haven't seen that. We don't know how to survive without nothing. We're used to having everything available at the tips of our fingers. And I'm not celebrating that. I'm just saying that's what Americans are used to. And for them to deal with the loss of all of that at the same time, everything that they know and understand and know how to get by with, it's going to take a lot of people out just because either they off themselves or die of strange diseases, kill each other. I mean, on and on and on. It's really, it's a big part, but it's a part of the whole. The whole being a full system reset. When we all land in the eager hands of our oppressors, it seems real nice what they're saying, that we're going to take care of nature and everybody will be equal, etc. There's some things about that are positive in a way, to be honest, right? But we don't get to have a say. We don't get to have a say that this is happening at all. And nobody's saying in the World Economic Forum that the people get to have a say at all in anything. So that's an authoritarian setup. Everybody seems nice enough. They're all smiles and pleasant when they talk. But what they intend is, and what they're doing, in my opinion, I think they're doing this. I think that they had something to do with this virus. The virus was manufactured, or I should say altered. It was engineered. I think that they must have had their hands in that, because they're just so ready to go with all this. And after 9/11, looking closely at what happened with 9/11, the way this pandemic has gone, it's very much like 9/11. It's got the same architects, I think. All the villains that had something to do with 9/11 were very silent when this pandemic came out, except for John Bolton, who's trying to sell his book. Oops, sorry. So if you put all these pieces together, 9/11, all the wars in the Middle East, the pandemic starting in China when we already had beef with China, because the whole 9/11 thing was to invade the Middle East to get a good footing to go to war with China. That's according to the Project for the New American Century, which was written in the late 90s and published in 2000. 1 year to the month before 9/11. So it's all one piece, and it ain't over. We might be just at the end of phase one with the pandemic, and it might get uglier very soon. Something I heard or read suggests that there's going to be a phase 2 lockdown that is really hardcore and like for 6 months long or something crazy. And then I read something today about the WHO has not designated this virus as airborne. If they did, and they're looking at it, they're doing studies. If they do, they're going to have to do special things to the hospitals, ventilation systems everywhere. Things are going to be very, very socially distanced and bad, very bad. So if they did that, that would be kind of the precursor to lock us down for 6 more months. And I don't know about you, but there's not a damn thing I can do about it. I can resist, and so can you, because what they're setting up is something we will wish that we had resisted harder, no matter how hard we resist, because we won't have anything like what we have now. We won't have cars, we won't have entertainment, apparently, because they're making sure that all that goes away. Robots. We have to be robots or we'll be stripped away if we don't comply. And we're being turned against each other to make sure that we comply. George H.W. Bush spoke of the New World Order back when he was in office. So that would have been in the early 90s, I guess, like either somewhere between 88 and 92. I think that's when. But he talked about the New World Order, saying that It was a collection of nations and such. And it seemed like to me that he was kind of saying the same thing as David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel, who in an interview said that soon Israel would be the center of the of the universe, basically, the one that rules the planet. One government ruling the world, and only one army, Israel's army, or who knows, America's army under Israel's control, since that's the trajectory currently. So if that's where we're headed, I don't really know what to say about right now, except for we either resist, and we've got a hell of a fight on our hands, if it's even, we have to resist, because it's a dystopic future that we're looking at, and we're already we already lost our money. The economy's already gone. It's just a matter of how long does it take before it hits us in the face, months, a year, I don't know. What's that going to look like? Don't know, but there won't be much left for anybody. So uncertain. I'm sure a lot of people feel exactly the same way. Everybody I have talked to does. How can you not feel uncertain about this shit? The WHO says that they don't have evidence that coronavirus spreads via droplets from the breath. They don't have evidence enough to say that it's an airborne disease. But if they do say that it's airborne, then talk about draconian measures, super social distancing, and everything will be just on steroids. The restrictions we have now will be on steroids. And they are doing studies to find out. So I don't know what the countdown is till I think it is airborne, because that's how people have been getting sick, is in places where the air is circulating around them. I can't think of how else it would be spreading if that's kind of the primary hotspots have been, like cruise ship and anything in tight quarters, which the cruise ship especially kind of indicates that it could be aerosols. If they determine that it's airborne, then there's going to be masks will be required everywhere from now until coronavirus is gone, which could be never. But I think it's going to be next summer. I still think that they're going to come out with a vaccine at the end of the year. Although things that I've heard make it sound less and less likely because of the nature of the virus. So I don't know, a lot of question marks. Live now, be here now. Try and enjoy right now. Even if it sucks, it could always suck worse. Take care.